Welcome to Podcast This Escape, the podcast where we talk about the escape room we escaped from in the previous episode of this podcast. Jonathan, thank you so much. That was so much fun.
I had a great
Thank you so much for playing.
You can tell whenever someone comes on and they have, extensive puzzle writing experience, there's a sense of, I know that I can trust you, but also I'm a little bit afraid of what level you're going to push on us.
What do you expect from me?
I had a great time. I thought that this was bang on, exactly where it should have been, to not have us going for 5 hours, which, granted, I can do, and I can enjoy doing, but I shouldn't. And
I made sure to subtract about 20 minutes off of all of the playtest estimates because of the cryptic crossword segment that I knew was going to fly through with the two of you.
That was fun. Oh, it was very nice. So we do cryptic crosswords. We do them a lot for our patrons as well. And in fact, this season, because we don't have playtest audio for any of these rooms, we are doing cryptic crosswords for all of our bonus Patreon. Every fortnight, effectively, there's a new cryptic crossword episode.
And
for
we're an
the patrons.
all-right team at it. We are better as a team at our weird Sudokus, I think.
That's true. We also do like doing variant Sudokus and things like that. These were a lot of fun. There's a really nice connection, like that final puzzle where we had 3 things with the word crypt in them to decrypt cryptics and transcript and all that stuff. And all of the rest of the room funneled into that. What for you was the starting point? Did you know what you wanted to do, or did you just come up with some crypt words? What's the process there?
The crypt words came first, and then I said, hey, can I call dibs on something to do with crypts in some way?
Wow.
But before you even knew you were doing an Egyptian room, you just thought,
that's
crypt,
right, yes.
Decrypt, transcript.
It was crypt.
That's not what I would have
guessed.
That's
fun.
Yeah, actually, it was the... it was coming up with the cryptic and decrypt, and then I had to come up with a third one, and that's where the transcript came from.
Yeah, because it's not a type of puzzle, but it's a thing that you can link to.
Right.
The transcript puzzle was great. It's a really nice idea, well implemented, of just hearing
spot
things
the
being
difference.
different. Yeah, spot the difference in audio. It was really fun.
I'm really impressed, and I always am. When it's people who write Sudokus have to have this ability, which is, as we did those 3 grids, or the 2 particularly, the one based on the transcript and the cryptic crossword, how little information you need to give for something to be solvable. It's so impressive when you have that skill.
Yes, it's something I'm still getting better at. The key learning for me in setting those was I imagined at one point that when people were making a Sudoku, what they did was they started with a filled Sudoku grid and took out information to make a puzzle. And in reality, what you do to make a good one is you start with a blank grid, you add a clue, you see how far you could solve it from there, and then you think, if I were solving this puzzle, what clue would I want next?
That's fun.
It seems so brutal to not make a mistake. I've said it many times that just creating logic puzzles is much harder than it seems like it's going to be, and so far, pretty much everyone has agreed with that when they've tried it their first time. It seems so much harder, but there are people who do it. There are people who create them every day, so there's got to be some way for it to click.
I would assume when you were making this one that your first protocol was to stick a 5 in the middle because of how restrictive that was, and then think, oh, now I've got 4 corners. What if I filled in 2 of them so that it becomes unambiguous?
For B specifically.
Yeah, this is for the Sudoku one. Yeah.
Yes, I did the B one first, and because I knew that was going to be the hardest one to do. And yeah, and then the Sudoku software that I was using to make this, I was able to put in a 3x3 grid and then kind of look around what variants work well in this, and thought thermometers could represent something.
Yeah, the snakes one was very fun. It was very fun. It was one that we were luckily again, we could jump to that quickly because we were used to that as an idea, because we've seen them in Sudokus. But yeah, being able to do that with your pre-existing rules of basically no squares can be
the non-consecutive.
Consecutive, yeah, to the things next to them. So knowing 5 things not consecutive, well, we know what those are because there's only one option. It's 1, 3, 5, 7, 9.
And that one is a bit over-specified. Doesn't need as many clues, but it turns out that if you make it harder, you're not making the fun part more fun.
Yes, yeah, that's also
Yes.
true. Knowing not just the limits of logic, but also what's going to actually be a fun
And
experience.
that's definitely something that can differentiate just being a Sudoku designer versus doing it for an escape room setting in particular.
And I didn't want it to be clearly a Sudoku. I mean, the other thing is that Sudokus take forever. So keeping it to a 3x3 grid was a help there.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, and that's, I think, knowing the level of, like you talked before in your introduction, that when you do your at-home escape games that you make, they're sort of closer, they're getting closer to the
between
puzzle
escape
hunt
room puzzle
sort of
hunts.
stuff. And I think you find that sometimes, like in terms of at-home games, we often see that's where the stuff that like Rita Orlov makes, often like Emerald Flame, and they sit in that little world, which is not an at-home escape game, not a puzzle hunt, but sitting in this space in between. And I think, like Sudoku-wise, you're building for an audio escape room. The level of Sudoku is very different than if you were doing something for a full Sudoku or a puzzle hunt. Like knowing that level, I think is very good from a design point of view, and clearly something that you understand, to be able to both know how to define your own work and also know where to pull back to make a room like this.
Yeah, as I mentioned, this the series that I do is 18 cards. That came from the first one that I did. Every Christmas, instead of sending a Christmas card, we send a puzzle or game to our friends and family. And so I wanted to make something, and the limits of what I could produce and mail affordably happened to be 18 cards. And so I tried to make one of these, and then the publisher saw that, and so now it's a line of things, but that's now my arbitrary restriction that I have to live with. And in that space, you need to think of a larger puzzle and think, what's the smallest version of this I can do that's still at all interesting?
Yeah, amazing.
It is good, I think. I think it's good to have some of those restrictions. Like even for this show, we always have this time restriction. Like you shouldn't make a room that's going to last 5 hours. It's got to be done in one. And so
I would say the impressive version of this is that there were 3 grids in this, and not like making those grid finding and grid solving things feel repetitive.
They were fundamentally different experiences, which also helped us at the end to delineate them and solve that final puzzle.
Good point.
It worked out very nicely. So okay, so you had the idea. You thought, you want to do a decrypt, transcript, cryptic room, and so you just went, give me something to do with crypts. At what point did you know, like as a group and individually, that first of all these were all rooms in a museum, and secondly, what setting worked for you to make this an ancient Egypt / Roman themed thing?
Yeah, we have a team, a committee, I guess you'd say, who's in charge of the overarching story. So I have thankfully not had to worry too much about where is this coming from, where is this headed. I kind of had those bookends, and trying to fit what's in between. Now, as this goes on, you're going to narratively see more and more weaving in of the overarching narrative inside the rooms. But I had since I was early, I had a lot more space.
It's still that sort of just introducing us to the world and this place, and we learned the very important fact that these are sort of magical museum rooms. We didn't really need any more Eve lore as to the main.
You need to know that Eve has been here. You need to know that something magical is going on. You need to know that at the end you get this stamp and things somehow seem to be returning to normal.
I have noted as well, there are 8 stamps, I believe, in the passport. We did room 1, no stamp. Then we're going to have 8 stamp rooms, and then room 10 is going to be the payoff. It's not going to get us the stamp. It's
develop their true power.
Yeah, it'll be like, you fool.
It does occur to me that we've been making Pharaoh jokes all the way through. The fact that we were making them before we got to this room at all is quite funny, and then we came straight into this one. But it does make it feel very convincing. They're like, oh yeah, maybe this is all a great Yu-Gi-Oh tribute, and it's all for my benefit.
Even though we made all that,
It might have just been remarkably lucky. You never know. This is going to be challenging to decide which one, like what a highlight puzzle was, because every time we got something, I felt really
they were great.
accomplished.
I mean, I really liked doing the one that was more of the clean Sudoku logic without the snake, like just the one that was just, hey, do the transcript one. Like, I really like the transcript puzzle.
I thought that was really rewarding to spot the transcript and start out going, this is just what we saw on the tape. No, it's not.
Yeah, but every element of it,
wonderful feeling,
being like having the tape in the first place, listening and going, this will be important. There's clearly something going on, but I don't know what. Like, maybe this will help later. Finding the transcript and thinking, oh, now I understand the important part. Like, it wasn't about doing a second listen. It was about not doing a minute listen. Like this is really cool. And then finding that. And then when we had those things of the 2 and the 5 and the 7, realizing, wait, this is solvable based on the only extra rule of no consecutive things adjacent to each other. And that solution I found the most, was, I think, of the 3, the hardest solution. Like, the first one just gave you the order. The second one mostly gave you the order with snakes. And then this one was, no, you know the rules. And so do I. Go for it. There's a 5 in the middle, go. And that I thought was really satisfying.
It was very rewarding.
Do you find, it also felt like not the easiest. When you were playtesting, did you have much more trouble with groups? Do you feel like you had to hint more, or is everyone
was everyone that you playtested with familiar with this sort of thing?
First off, in noticing the clues, you lucked into the more interesting order of discovery. All of the playtest groups found the transcript before they found the tape.
I liked it. I like doing it that way.
So they were able to immediately notice that it was the same thing and start picking up the differences. And I think it's much more satisfying the order that you found them in. As far as the logic puzzle, there has always been someone who has been up for engaging with that, though sometimes it has taken longer. That was far less of an issue than the cryptic crossword itself.
I suppose the cryptic crossword requires a little bit more of an understanding of a certain type of language that you might not know.
I did a lot more prompting of, this is the indicator word.
Fair. Very fair.
Of which the only one I think that maybe you kind of glided past because we were thinking about the spelling was Sobek.
Yep.
Oh, yes,
the word performed is in there because it just sounds
a
like
sound
Beck.
like sort of one.
Oh, yeah, makes sense. I knew there should, thinking back, there must have been a sound-alike clue for Beck being just BEK.
Yep.
And then the set one, I don't think you said it out loud, but I think maybe you noticed the exclamation mark, meaning that was an and lit clue. So the entire clue is both the wordplay and the definition.
Fun.
Okay, no, I didn't say that. Is that what exclamation marks mean?
Yes, that's what exclamation marks
That's going to be so helpful.
I thought that was usually what a question mark meant.
I think there is a slight difference in which newspaper or which culture.
Okay.
Certainly in American cryptics, that is a hard and fast rule. I've noticed that in Liam's Minute Cryptic, they always use an interrobang there to mean that.
Just to cover everything.
Yeah, I thought from the British cultural side of it, it's usually question mark to indicate the same thing.
I've always known there was something, but I have been murky on what. That's
question mark. I think usually is more this definition path is punny instead of
Gotcha.
No, it was
that's
lovely.
Gonna be great. You feel like some people might, get sick of it if certain puzzles are just things that they do a lot, and it feels almost like the puzzles are catered to you because they just match your interests so perfectly. No, I'm not going to get sick of that. I was really happy to see a cryptic and a mini Sudoku.
I thought it was also nice that clearly you had some very puzzle ideas here with the cryptics and the Sudoku style logic grids and all that sort of stuff. But I think it was also it's nice that you didn't forget some of the other stuff that makes it more of an escape room feeling. Like
some of the practical
the
stuff
physical
puzzles.
ideas of how do you get this door open. You got a shovel, you can probably pry it open.
I love having a brain pick.
Doing some of the searching things, going around to look at the back of, following the power cord to the back to find the generator, digging through the jacket for the key, all that sort of stuff.
those have been fun to play around a little bit more with the role-playing aspect and letting people come up with alternate answers, which you don't really want in the puzzly puzzles so much.
Fair.
But
Yeah.
the first group that I tried this with did not want to get the torch to work at all, and instead wanted a torch, not a torch.
Yeah, I see.
So they ended up using the parchment that after they had they had first dumped all of the tea on the ground before
Nice.
they knew they needed to
Oh, wonderful.
get it wet at all.
Nice.
And I allowed them to dip it in the tank and
Great.
ignored the physics that you mentioned to use that. And then, well, they now have a petrol-soaked piece of parchment, so they set that on fire instead of the
I love
flashlight
that.
too.
That's great fun. You know, because it was sort of like emergent from what they were doing. They never thought, here's a new idea. It's like, well, we've got petrol-soaked paper.
It's also late enough in the room that you can be pretty assured that, all right, yeah, this isn't going to break anything else
Yes,
now,
absolutely.
which is always a worry.
Yeah, it's not like they're sidestepping a fun puzzle. They're just creatively solving a problem.
Yeah, exactly. Right. The alternative is notice there are batteries in a pile of dirt, or notice that you've got an oil-soaked rag. Effectively, that's the same. That's the same exact thing of connecting to something you've seen earlier. So it's just as fun an experience.
Speaking of minor connections, 12th July 1986.
Completely arbitrary. I just
What?
needed a date.
But it's
Jones
around
was
the
not
time.
arbitrary, but
But it sounds so like a believable date.
I should have lied and just said it was.
Yeah, no, I had a lot of fun with it. It was really nice. The dig site stuff was a really nice framing of like the input for all these puzzles was really cool. Being able
None
to
of
know
the
that was coming
Indiana
in.
Joneses were 1986.
Yeah, it was important to vaguely set this in once I had the so I said where the complete start of this was the wordplay for the final puzzle. But when I started thinking about the setting, it was, and actually you brought this up during, it's kind of my fascination with the fact that ancient Egypt was already ancient Egypt for people that I think of as ancient.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's great.
Yeah, it's not
it's
contemporary.
wonderful.
They're sitting there being like, who built these crazy pyramids? You know, they're so old.
So I probably my only regret in the design is that I didn't have more of the Roman stuff. It exists there, but I wanted a little bit more.
Yeah, it does feel like it's there to justify the Hock Matterfack. But yeah, it doesn't have a huge amount of function otherwise. So it is interesting because it is a cool idea, and so like this thing of like, oh, here's something ancient. Oh, someone else ancient also was here looking at something ancient, and like these layers of that is very fun.
Yeah, so the 80s, it comes from thinking about that and thinking about now you are reliving something from 40 years ago.
Yeah,
that
you're
reliving.
also a visitor to something that people have already excavated. It's fun. It's a really nice one.
And the whole thing, the fact that the transcript and the audio was saying, made comments about like reworking and going through other people's things like that. It all did feel like it was very interrelated in that way. I was definitely conscious of it.
Well, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Now you do have like we mentioned in your initial introduction that you have the escape room at home board gamey style thing that you it's not quite a board game, but you know, that at home game that you design. But you also do stuff with logic puzzle. Like you have a YouTube channel where you do a lot of like logic puzzle stuff, right?
Yeah, started this year actually. I wanted to kind of build a little bit more audience for my board games and card games, and so I have been creating logic puzzles in the style of the things you'd find on Cracking the Cryptic.
Nice.
And then starting this year have moved on to solving puzzles that the designers mostly in that community have created. There's a series that is on the Cracking the Cryptic Discord called Gap genuinely approachable pencil puzzles, where
Nice.
they introduce a wide variety of those logic puzzles. And so, in the hope to bring that to a wider audience, I have been solving one of those a day and going over the rules in detail for audiences that are not familiar with that kind of thing.
That's great.
Yeah, that's lovely. Oh, there'll be links to that in both of these episodes, so people can go and check it out. But that sort of content is really fun, and especially it's nice to have someone who can help bring you into that world. Like for us, that was how we got into all this. Was cracking the cryptic was how we got into all the variant Sudokus, of having someone there to be like, let me explain to you what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, what the rules are, and then you can find. And then like for the first couple, you might be like, all right, I need this help, and then eventually you can be like, oh, I can do these
I can
first,
fly
and then I can watch it,
now.
and I can see. And it's a really nice sort of world of puzzles.
Yeah,
so
I
it's
think
really cool
there
to have
is
all that content.
Yeah, I mean, they do a great job, and watching Simon solve these monstrosities is, for a certain segment of people, a wide segment of people, that's fascinating, and they're willing to stick with that until they can start getting the hang of it. But it is really intimidating. So my goal is to be solving puzzles that anyone can solve. So
yeah, which is a great step for people. Like it's a really lovely thing to be able to see and enjoy and check
these
out.
are all puzzles that if I were not slowly narrating every step, I would be done in 2 minutes. And so it takes about 10 minutes to go through all of these. And so it's really meant to be
Oh, that's really accessible. That like as an amount. That yeah, some of the cracking the cryptics, once they start going over an hour, I start to get a little bit
exactly
bead of sweat starts to form.
I suppose my final kind of questions for this, because the room, we loved it. We've gone through the stuff that we really enjoyed, and the whole thing is really cool. For you, how was this designing with other people, like fitting into? It seems like you had a fairly simple way to sit inside this connected arc. But did you enjoy the process? Have you had fun being part of something?
Yeah, how
large?
does this work compared to just designing stuff more solo?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult for me to make good comparisons, as this is my first time designing in this exact medium. So some of the learning curve has been just making more things audio and fewer things visual than I'm used to. So there's that factor, of course. As far as working with the team, obviously they're all great, and I'm excited for you to see the other things that are in store. There's a wide variety of styles, and
so you clearly like have you done play testing?
How many
for
of the other 10 have you played?
I have played maybe 4 of the others at this point. So I think you can anticipate some rooms that are quite similar to what you saw here, which are kind of self-contained puzzly things. Some that are going to be trying to make more inside references than anyone has the right to.
Oh gosh.
So I think that what has made it work has been finding an overarching plot that does segment nicely. So this idea of a setting where there are pre-themed rooms and
gives you space to work.
Right. If we had set this in, I mean, there are so many places where we could set this where we'd have a danger of repetition.
Yeah.
And by having, I mean, we were still struggling with that. I was fortunate not to be on the receiving end of that, but when you've got things that are, if you're in a museum, you're doing sciencey things. There are a lot of sciencey things that are technically different but can overlap if you're not in communication. So I think you'll have some good things to discuss with the later designers along those lines.
Trying not to
I just managed to dodge it.
Toes. Yeah. How many of you are setting in ancient Egypt? None? Wonderful.
Exactly. And yeah, all I had to worry about is a very early room that was an archaeology theme that you had done. But it wasn't an ancient Egypt type of thing. It was definitely more Indiana Jones bent. So I wanted to stay in that vein.
No, fair. And look, it's always surprising how much you can do the same puzzles, and as long as the story and the themes feel different, it
Absolutely.
can feel completely different. Like, even then, looking at the 3 little grids that we've got, 2 of them I filled with numbers. The first one we filled with letters. And that was the one where, as I was saying it out loud, I was stumbling over it a bit, even though we'd just gone through it twice before. But just having it swap to being letters, apparently that's enough of a change that it can make my brain think it's something totally different. But as far as like this being your first time venturing into this medium, great success.
Yeah, you did really well.
Well, thank you.
You've had the feeling very nicely. Use the audio medium in a really nice way. I liked being able to listen as we read and try and find those discrepancies.
I wish that I were better at using audio things when I do my design. I think it's really exciting to be able to do those.
Yeah.
It was very, very similar, actually, to running a playtest of any of the regular escape room games that I do. Actually, the difference is that I had to read it instead of having my testers read it.
Fair. Lovely. Thank you so much for coming on and running that for us. We absolutely had a lovely time. It was very enjoyable. For people who wanted to, so I know we've talked about it a little bit already, but if you want to do a quick rundown, where can people find the things that you make and do?
Everything that I do is all linked from the homepage of thechaffers.com.
Wonderful. Well, there is a link to that and specific links for everybody who wants to go and check it all out. I highly recommend it. There's some really cool stuff that you do, and I think this room is a testament to your good design brain. So people can if people enjoyed this room, I'm sure they'll have a lot of fun with all the other stuff you've made. For everybody else, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed these episodes. If you want to help support the show, you can just spread the word, tell people about it, review it online, chat to people, post about it, talk in your real life to friends and family about this cool escape room show that you've got. Send them an episode, play it with your friends and family. All the rooms are freely available for you to play and run yourself, so do that. And, are there any other ways to support the show? Matter of fact, there is. You can jump on the Patreon if you want to help support us there. We don't run any ads on our shows. We support the whole thing through crowdfunding. So if you would like to be a classic style patron of the arts, you can donate to help keep all of our shows running there. There's a bunch of rewards as well. Anybody who donates at any level can appear as an NPC in one of Danny's rooms. Including in this room, we had Hawk Matterfack who donated. No, that's not true.
It was really rude that you kept making fun of their names so much.
That's what I do to the patrons. But there's new weekly bonus episodes for the $5 donors, including, us doing cryptic crosswords or reading and solving old 2-minute mysteries and things like that. There's a new weekly show for our $10 donors as well, where we review the TV show Charmed. It's really fun. It's really dumb, but it's really great. I'm loving it. The show, the podcast is dumb, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. And there's a whole bunch of other bonus things. There's monthly videos and trivia and all this other fun stuff. But mostly people there are there to support our main 2 shows of Escape This Podcast and Solve This Murder. So thank you everybody for donating and keeping the network alive and kicking and doing fun stuff. So thank you everybody who supports us there. Thank you again, Jonathan, for running the room. Thank you, Danny, for playing with me.
Thank you.
All right, wonderful. That's the end of the episode. Bye, everybody.